Watch this video to complete the workbook pages for Super Tap Skips from the My First Piano Adventure Level C writing book. Let's get ready to begin. Open your writing book to pages 12 and 13. You will also want to have a pencil or something to write with. This is the workbook page that we will be doing today. Super Tap Skips, first on Skyscrapers, and then on the facing page we will skip on bridges. We have just started Unit 2, and with Unit 2 we are learning about skips on the piano. When we skip on the piano, we go from one key, jump over another key, and land on the next one. And we're going to get a lot of practice skipping on these pages. Instruction number 1 for this page says to shade the keys going up or down by skips. We're going to look at tap on each keyboard to tell us whether we should go up or down. The hint here tells us that we might want to turn our book sideways to help us see the keyboards. Let's go ahead and do that. That's better. Now this first keyboard tap is telling us to shade the keys going up. The first key they looked at was C, which is gray, and then they skipped to E with the red shading on that key. And when they did that, they skipped over this one key in the middle. Now we're going to follow that pattern as we continue to move up the keyboard. So let's skip over the next white key by E, and then we'll shade the one that is to the right of that. I'm going to shade mine in red, but you can really shade it in with whatever color you have. Now, as we keep moving up the piano, we're always going to leave one empty white key between every key that we shade. When you're all done with the first keyboard, it should look like this. Now, let's move on to the next keyboard. This one, tap is telling us to skip down. So we are going to be moving to the left as we shade this keyboard. Once again, the first key is gray, and this one started on E. They skipped over this white key in the middle and shaded the key to the left of that. We're going to continue that pattern right here. Now, as we keep going, we have to make sure to skip over one white key before we shade the next one, always leaving one key blank. Go ahead and fill in your keyboard with me. When you're all done, this is how your second keyboard should look. Now let's move on to the last keyboard on this page. This keyboard tap is telling us to skip up the piano, so we will be moving to the right again. You know what to do. Let's work on this keyboard together. And this is what it should look like when you are all done. We have finished step 1. Now let's take a look at step number 2, which says to write the letter names beside the keys. Remember that when we do a skip, we are skipping over one white key, and that means we are also skipping over one letter name. So now we will go through and identify all those letters that we skipped. Let's take a look at the first keyboard on the left, the shortest one. The first skip was from C to E, and what we didn't see was that we also skipped a D in between those letters. Now after E, we skipped over the next letter. What letter comes after E? It's F. So we skipped over that. The next letter after F would be G. The easiest way to identify the letter names here is for us to think about which letters we're skipping. So after G, we skipped A, and that took us to the next letter, B. And after B, we skipped C. The last note on this keyboard that we need to write is D. Let's take a look at the middle keyboard next. This one we're moving down, which means we're going backwards in the letters. So before E came D. That's the one we skipped, and the next note was C. Before C comes B. We skipped that one, and the note before that is A. The note that comes before A is G. We're skipping it, so the letter we need to write is F. Work with me to fill in the rest of this keyboard. This is how it should look when you're finished. Now let's take a look at the last keyboard. For this keyboard, you already have examples on this page for the keys that you are naming. For instance, take a look at this first key here. Do you see another one on the page that looks the same? Work on this keyboard with me as well, and look for hints from the keyboards you've already completed if you need them. All finished. Great work. Let's move over to the next page now. Super Tap Skips on Bridges. The first activity here asks to shade the keys in skips over the bridge. This is like the activity we did on the last page, except for now we're going around the bridge in the direction of this arrow. You know what to do here. We're going to shade every other key because we're going to skip over white keys in the middle. Go ahead and shade the keys around the bridge with me. Step number 2 tells us to write the letter name on the side. Just like they started with C and E in the examples, we're going to name all the letters going around the bridge now. It's time to press pause and work on those answers on your own. When you are done, press play again and watch me fill them out. For step number 3, we're going to turn our attention to the boats in the middle and look at each of the letter combinations that's in the boats. Now, if the letters go from one letter to the very next letter, then we know that it is a step. So we will write an ST on the flag. If the letters skip over one, then we'll know that it is a skip and we will write an SK in the flag. Let's take a look at the first example, E to F. This does not skip over any letters, so it's a step. And ST stands for step, which is why you will see it in the flag. Let's do 2 more of these together. Next comes the green boat, C to E. In between C and E, we skipped over the letter D. This is a skip, so we will write SK in the flag. We'll take a look at one more together, the purple boat, D to E. D to E does not skip any letters. Those 2 keys are right next to each other on the keyboard, so this is a step. We need to write ST in the flag. Please pause the video here and work to fill out the remaining boat flags on your own. When you are done, hit play again to check your answers. Okay, let's see what all of those flags should say. And that's it. You've helped Super Tap skip up and down skyscrapers and over bridges today. Great job.